Today I'm going to take you on a journey, one that I still remember vividly, even after all these years. This is the story of my first love. It all began when I was just 15. I was an ordinary high school student with a routine that felt predictable, until one day everything changed. That's when he walked into my life. His name was Michael. He had this charm about him, with his tousled brown hair and eyes the color of the clearest sky. From the moment I saw him, there was this instant pull. I couldn't quite explain it, but I knew he wasn't just another classmate. One day I spotted him sitting by himself during lunch. My heart raced, my hands were sweaty, but something pushed me forward. "Hi, I'm Emma. Can I sit with you?" I asked nervously. He looked up, smiled warmly, and said, "Of course." That moment was the start of something magical. We talked, and it felt so natural, like I had known him forever. From that day on, Michael and I became inseparable. We walked home together, shared stories about our dreams, and laughed about the silliest things. He had a way of making even the simplest moments feel special. Then one day, Michael asked me if I wanted to go see a movie with him. I remember my heart skipping a beat as I eagerly said yes. We watched a comedy, ate popcorn, and laughed until our sides hurt. But what I'll never forget is what happened afterward. As we strolled through the park beneath the stars, he reached for my hand. My heart was pounding. This wasn't just a crush anymore. This was something deeper. That night I barely slept. All I could think about was Michael. A few weeks later, we were sitting by a lake, enjoying the sunshine and the soft melodies of birds in the trees. Out of nowhere, Michael turned to me looking a little nervous. "Emma, I need to tell you something." I could feel my pulse quicken as he spoke. Then, in the softest voice, he said, "I like you. A lot." I was overwhelmed with joy, trying to hold back my excitement. "I like you too, Michael," I replied with a smile. We laughed, both relieved and thrilled that we felt the same way. From that moment on, Michael wasn't just my friend, he was my first love. We were the kind of couple that did everything together. We spent our days in the park, stayed up late talking about our dreams, and made each other laugh over the smallest things. He had a way of making me feel like the most important person in the world. But like all relationships, ours wasn't perfect. One day we got into a fight. It was over something so small that to this day I can't even remember what it was. Words were exchanged, and they stung. I cried a lot that night, thinking it was the end of us. But Michael came to me, eyes filled with regret, and said, "I'm sorry, Emma. I didn't mean to hurt you." We hugged, made up, and promised to never let anything come between us again. For a while, everything was perfect. Michael was my world, and I was his. He even surprised me on my birthday with the most thoughtful gift, a heart-shaped locket with a picture of us inside. "This is to remind you that I'll always love you," he said. I couldn't hold back my tears of happiness. But as with all good things, our time together faced a challenge. One day, Michael came to me with heartbreaking news. His dad had gotten a new job in another city, and they were moving away. I was devastated. We promised each other that distance wouldn't change our love. We spent our last days together visiting all our favorite places, making the most of every moment. When the day came for him to leave, I gave him a picture of us. "This is to remind you that I'll always love you," I told him, tears streaming down my face. He promised we'd stay in touch, and for a while we did. We wrote letters, made phone calls, and shared every detail of our lives. But as time went on, life got busy. The letters became less frequent, and the calls shorter. We were drifting apart, and then one day Michael called me. "Emma, we need to talk," he said. My heart sank. I knew what was coming. He told me that while we still loved each other, it was time to let go. I cried harder than I ever had before, but deep down I knew he was right. Life moved on. I focused on my studies, made new friends, and tried to move past the heartbreak. But no matter how much time passed, Michael was always in the back of my mind. He had been my first love after all. A few years later, when I was in college, I received a letter. It was from Michael. He wrote, Dear Emma, I wanted to thank you for the amazing memories. You will always be my first love. Reading his words brought a smile to my face. Though we had gone our separate ways, I was glad to know he remembered our time together just as fondly as I did. Michael will always have a special place in my heart. Our love was pure, innocent, and full of life. He taught me what it means to love and to be loved. Though we didn't end up together, I wouldn't trade those memories for anything. They shaped who I am today. Years later, I met someone new. His name is Adam. He's kind, caring, and makes me just as happy as Michael once did. Adam knows about Michael, and he's not jealous. He understands that Michael will always be a part of my story, a part of who I am. Love, I've learned, grows and evolves. It may not always look the same, but it always stays with you. My heart has made room for new love, but it will never forget the first. Michael will always be a beautiful memory, my first love, and no matter where life takes me, that memory will live on forever. I hope you enjoyed this story. If you did, please give this video a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe for more content like this. Until next time, remember, love is a beautiful thing that stays with us, shaping who we are.